Thank you very much. I just want to say good morning to everybody and welcome to Zanu PF HQ. I wanted to give you an update on the process so far in terms of Central Committee elections of the ruling party. As I have said before, that in terms of our constitution, this is our elective year where there are a number of elections prior to the holding of the Congress at the end of next month. If you recall, we started the year with elections for our provincial structures. We then went to have primary elections for the by-elections that were held in April this year. We then went for the by-elections. We then went to establish the structures for the youth, culminating in the youth conference, where we came up with the national executive for the youth. A similar process followed for the Women's League, and not long ago there was a similar process for the war veterans. And the war veterans one was a special one in the sense that it was really the first time that we established the League for the War Veterans. And it also culminated in the conference for the war veterans. So we now move towards probably the tail end of the process for our elective year to have the Central Committee elections. The process started with the establishment of the guidelines for the Central Committee elections. And these guidelines were communicated to all our provinces, resulting in the invitation of applications for those who would want to aspire for those positions. There is an allocation that is given to every province in terms of Central Committee positions. And each province is then required to allocate those positions equitably among the admin districts obtaining in that province. But over and above the allocation of those positions, you will also have admin districts that have enjoyed the bonus of having the Women's League executive coming from those admin districts, Youth League executive coming from those admin districts, as well as the war veterans who are in the National League coming from those admin districts. By virtue of them coming from those admin districts, they are already members of the Central Committee. So your 20 members of the National Executive of the Women, of the Youth, of the War Veterans automatically become Central Committee members. So this is over and above the allocation given to these admin districts. So it's a bonus. If in your admin district, for example, you might enjoy having a Youth League executive, a Women's League, a War Veterans League, so you might have 3 members already who are in the Central Committee. But over and above that, you still enjoy this allocation, which is done equitably. The allocation in terms of provinces is determined by the strength of how you voted during the last presidential election. So it's also according to the performance of provinces. So other provinces will have more depending on how they performed in the last general elections as it relates to the presidential votes. However, there are others who might not meet the criteria, who might then ask for waivers. You have civil servants who might not meet the set-down criteria. They have to apply for a special waiver. You also have war veterans who might not meet the set criteria. They automatically are accepted to participate in the elections. Now, the process started with the provinces receiving these CVs and making comments and recommendations as regards suitability as in meeting the criteria that was set. Provinces didn't refuse any CV. They were actually assessing each CV and making comments and making recommendations. And these were brought to Zanu PF HQ. And then there was the National Elections Directorate, which then set to supervise the work that was done by the provincial elections directorates. Again, they to make their comments and make approvals or disapprovals. At the same time, those CVs that were brought to head office were also subjected to vetting in terms of our security and in terms of the guidelines that we had given forward. So that process is now towards its final stages, where we are now making consultations with Presidium, where we are also checking certain information just to make sure that what the work that we have done is above board and meets the criteria that has been set by leadership. What I just wanted to tell you as well, because I've been getting this from some members of the press, everybody who meets the criteria has every right to participate on Central Committee elections. There is no ways where we are saying so and so cannot be contested. And the President, His Excellency, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, has stressed that there are no sacred cows. Everybody can be contested. I'll be going for elections. And so is everybody. Those Politburo members who might not be going for elections, it will be just by luck that probably there are no takers, there are no people who have come forward and interested. But where people have come forward and are interested, that is the democracy. That's what the Zanu PF is all about. Zanu PF brought democracy, and therefore we must practice that democracy to the letter. So there are no sacred cows. I just wanted to stress that. We are also concerned with some reports on vote buying. People buying votes. And I just want to warn that those who are really practicing vote buying, that where we have evidence of vote buying, the affected people will be disqualified. So we are now really making sure that we put all our ducks in a row, and that once all the preparations are done, we will now be giving the date for the elections and also set everything in motion to ensure that these elections are done freely and in a transparent manner, and that people who are supposed to vote do so and exercise their right. And we wish all those who have expressed their interest to be considered, we wish them well. Not really. I cannot really pinpoint to a province in terms of the prevalence. I've had a couple of calls being made, and in one case, when we investigated, we found that it was not correct. It was false. It was just also people sometimes use it as a way of disadvantaging an opponent to say so and so is vote buying, but when you actually go to the ground, there hasn't been any action to that effect. So we've had a couple, but as I said, there hasn't been anything to talk about prevalence in a particular. Although, to be honest, I would like to say that we seem to be getting more of that from urban provinces, and particularly Harare.